Hi guys, it's the Sports Coffee again. We've got a special guest today. I'd like to thank our continued support from InsureWise, our commercial and household insurers, helping us going through the process of the podcast. So today we have a guest who is former professional footballer, but now works for Northern Ireland Football Association and has just started a new role as under 17s and under 19s manager. So his name is Gerard Lyttle. Hi Gerard, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. So today is a different format. So Gerard, normally I would sort of throw questions at you, but I've done a different format. We're doing a bit of a question and answer format. So people have been sending in via Twitter, via Facebook on our pages to ask you questions. Hopefully there's not too many dodgy ones in there, but they all seem pretty good and more wanting to know, you know, how you're gonna make these all into full internationals, I guess. So
okay,
right. So first one is from the Spirit of 2016 podcast. So a fellow podcast. How important was it to have experience in your coaching team? So you've got three or four people you've brought in. Is that right?
Yeah, I've brought in Andy Waterworth first of all as my assistant manager, and Andy basically still playing for Linfield at the minute. I think he could be still the top goal scorer in the league.
Okay.
But Andy's coming to sort of the end of that sort of playing career and starting to go on the journey of his coaching career. Andy's worked with me with the under 16 international team for about a year and a half, 2 years now. So we have a really good understanding, real good trust there. And we share the same beliefs basically in terms of how we want to play and our coaching styles and so on. Roy Carroll, again, I thought when I got the job, I took the post up. I looked sort of in the past and previous managers and previous setups, and not that was right or wrong, but I always thought there was a lack of connection with past players or sort of, coaches from here, basically, in Northern Ireland. It always seemed to sort of be sort of English or Scottish or Welsh or whatever it was. So I thought it was really important to try and identify not only top coaches, but also coaches that has had a past with Northern Ireland. Roy Carroll, obviously, is 30 odd caps, I think, for Northern Ireland. I played with Roy at schoolboy level, right through the under 21 level for Northern Ireland also. So again, I know him quite well.
Yeah.
And he's a top goalkeeping coach. Again, he's sort of starting off on that journey of coaching. Believe it or not, he's the same age as me, and he's still playing for Dungannon Swifts over here. But so Roy again has come in and absolutely a real great asset for our young goalkeepers, because he's been on so many great journeys himself in terms of playing. He's played all over the world. You know, he's played at Man United, one of the top clubs in the world. He's played in Greece. He's played, you know, many clubs in England, Scotland. So he comes with a wealth of knowledge that can be passed on again to our young lads when they meet up. And Gareth McCauley, again, Gareth is obviously just retired not long. Starting off coaching journey, he's just in the process of completing his A license, his A badges. Spoke to Gareth in the summer there past when he was on them. And, you know, again, he comes with so much knowledge at international level, at professional level, and even at the levels over here. You know, his journey was probably slightly different to most professional footballers, where he started playing here in Northern Ireland, played for a lot of clubs, and it sort of was a late developer and went across to England sort of in his later years through the lower leagues, and then ended up playing in the Premiership. And you know, again, it's going to be unbelievable for people like him that comes on board and shares and helps our young players. He's also based in the Midlands where he lives, and again, he'll have great access to watching games with me, or, you know, going and watching games for me. Yeah. And also meeting up with the young lads who are away from home, maybe are suffering a little bit of homesickness or whatever. Gareth will go and join up and meet for a casual cup of tea. So I think the backroom staff for me, there was a lot of thought went into it, but for me it's very strong, and it's one of them really looking forward to working with.
Oh, brilliant. That sounds really good, and obviously the knowledge that they've had in their own journeys they can bring to the players that are coming through your system. So excellent. So the next question is, in terms of coaching, where have you learned the most playing from your playing career or courses you've attended? That's from Darren Kennedy, a fan.
Yeah, I think both. I think from a very early age, when I was back at Celtic playing, I always remember we done our B licenses. I think I was just maybe coming 18, and back then I can still remember the boys didn't really like it. You know, they didn't. Where I actually enjoyed it and liked it, and from then I always said, you know what, this is something that I would really like to do when I finish playing football. And so what I've done throughout the years was I always sort of tried to memorize sessions that was put on by different coaches. And I was lucky enough, I was working under a really good coach, Willie McStay at the time, and Tommy Burns, God rest him, who's dead now, was a fantastic coach. And I always kept in my mind their sort of sessions that they put on, and I always sort of thought to myself that any sessions that I put on, I always try and think like a player when I'm putting sessions on. What would the players enjoy? How would they react? How would I react to it? You know, if I was a player, what would what would I get out of it, basically? And that's the way I've always sort of tried to develop and progress going along. When I got to sort of my mid-20s, I started writing down sessions, so I was still playing, and any sessions that I'd done, I thought, you know what, that was a good session. I started taking notes and started writing down. I had my own wee little sort of black book, and I carried that with me. And again, it's always something I've been fascinated with. Obviously, going on a course is completely different. You know, you're sort of learning new techniques and new ways, in a more educational sort of format. But listen, both have been, you know, you learn from both setups, and you're constantly learning as well. You know, where now, back then you never had the internet, you never had all the resources that's to you, you know, the books, everything. So I mean, you're always learning, you're always looking to try and get better and sort of keep up with the modern day trends as well.
No, definitely. No, that's excellent, thank you. So next question is from Darren Mullen. Do you have to follow the formation and playing style of the under-21s and the senior team?
No, we don't, and it's something I spoke to Ian about, and he's very comfortable with that. You know, I'll be solely up to myself and what way I want to set my team up. But lucky enough, I like the formations that Ian plays. We have similar beliefs in how we like to play. I don't get caught up too much in formations and systems. It's more a style, and whether we play a 3-5-2 or 4-3-3, you know, I'll always like to try and play. I'll always like to try and attack. I'll always like to try and be aggressive in terms of pressing and work rate and you know, have a basic shape out of possession and setting traps. So that'll never change. Sometimes the formation will change, but in terms of our style and our systems and how we go about and our philosophy, that'll never change for me. And again, it'll just work properly with a senior squad when the boys do go in and make a step up. But really, what I'm looking to do is develop these young lads to a pathway that they're ready to play for the under-21s and more importantly, ready to play senior football. So hopefully we can educate them in the right way and making that achievement.
Yeah, no, brilliant. No, that's good. So the next one is a bit of a curveball, I guess. Is an ex teammate of yours, Dean Hooper, who I've been in contact with over a few tweets, and he said, ask Gerard if he remembers about an incident with a boxer dog.
Yeah, I actually do. It was my own boxer dog. It was the maddest dog ever. My wife back then was my girlfriend. We ended up getting married. She bought me a boxer dog for my birthday. Okay. That was the most adorable little thing you could ever see. She paid a lot of money for it, but this adorable little thing turned into a monster, basically. And we were staying in Peterborough. We had our own house in Peterborough, and every time I went to training in the morning, and Callie, my wife, went to work, the dog was escaping.
Oh, no.
And we had like I think it was either an 8-foot fence or a 12. It was a pretty high fence out the back garden. So we used to leave it out the back in the summer, and then it's when we kennel and let it get the fresh air and so on.
Yeah.
And every time I was coming back, the neighbours were going, "Your dog's been running amok, basically, in where you live." I was going, how could it do it? So we're trying to work out how could it get out. There was no holes underneath the gate. There was nothing. And we just couldn't work it out. So we set a trap, and we kitted on. Basically, we closed the door, waiting to see how it get out. Wouldn't do anything. The dog was that smart. Once we left the door, closed the door, locked it, and get into the car and started the engine up and just started driving off out of the driveway. That's when Murphy, we called it, reacted. And all I could see was Kelly driving away. So I stood at the fence, and the next minute I see the paws coming over the actual fence, where it was jumping up. Honestly, how it leaped, the leap was unbelievable, and got up and away, and it was running into the fields and causing havoc every day. So we had to then lock it up and keep it inside when we train. So Dino has some memory, to be fair. That's a great one.
Excellent. So next question is from Carl Doherty. Do you have a strategy to try and stop players from going from Northern Ireland over to obviously Republic, which has obviously happened previously?
Yeah, well, there's no real strategy, and there's no real, it's one of them things. It's very difficult to stop, and really, it's down to the individual and the parents. It's sort of our level and our age. But my message has always been quite clear to any player. Is for me, I always feel that our players have a better opportunity and a better chance at having a good career at international level. We've seen players in the past have left at a young age, the Northern Ireland setup. We've developed them and have moved on to the Republic of Ireland, and we haven't seen them since. Basically, they haven't been part of their setups. They haven't, they fell out of the whole international setup. So we pride ourselves on looking after. I'm not saying that Republic don't, but looking after our players. We have a really good relationship with most of them, if not all of them, and we provide for them. We help them, and we're always there for them. Big thing for me is making sure when our players do come on camps or meetups or tournaments, that we can be as professionally as we possibly can. We make sure that the lads are leaving with a smile on their face, that they're happy. They've came to a happy camp. They've came to a camp where they've learned and they've got game time, and it's developed them and made them better. Not only better footballers, but better individuals, mentally, physically, and in every compartment. So that's all we can do. And as I say, it's hopefully it's enough at the minute. The good thing for me is I'm pretty much from sort of 2007 year birth up. I know a lot of the players. I get on with a lot of them. I've worked with most of them in the last 2 years, and I've really good relationships with not only them as players, but parents as well. So hopefully that's enough, and hopefully we'll see our players staying rather than jumping ship.
Yeah, that's great. No, appreciate the honesty. So another colleague, teammate, Franny Green, who's coming on our show actually soon, who was with you at Peterborough. He put, "I never thought that Gerard would go into coaching." So it was more of a statement than a question. So you obviously didn't think you were looking to go into coaching, but from what you've said previously, that's something that you always looked into doing.
Yeah.
Once you'd stopped.
Yeah. No, I never thought Franny would be doing his own podcast. So
Yeah.
I always thought he was a great character, great lad, funny boy. Unfortunately, I was only there for a couple of years, and didn't get to know the full lot of Franny, playing maybe 4 or 5 years under with him. But there was great lads at Peterborough. It was a great team. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me, and I learned a lot from it. And again, it was all part and parcel of my development in terms of learning and picking up from different managers, as you do, you know, for good or bad reasons. And unfortunately, my time at Peterborough wasn't a successful time, and it wasn't a real joyful time. You know, I left a big club at Celtic. I was there for 4 or 5 years. I came down to Peterborough United, had an unbelievable pre-season up until I came back. I think it was like 2 weeks before, and I picked up a Ferris 2 weeks before the league started, and Barry had signed Hoops, Dean Hooper, and he was my replacement, and I couldn't get him out of the team. So him and Barry were going for cups of teas and all together and having lunch together, the best of buddies. And I probably should have done that, but yeah, listen, that's football, and it's part and parcel of growing up and learning.
Yeah, sure. Brilliant, thank you. So next question is from Brian Hutchinson. Will the Irish League be on high on your agenda for scouting young players?
Absolutely, it always is. I mean, you only got to look at Andy Crosby, the under-21 manager, and his last campaign. I think he had 5 or 6 players from Irish League that was in the squad. The league at the minute is a progression league. It's starting to get better. It's developed into near enough a full-time league, and we have younger managers now taking up posts, and with younger managers, they're playing and developing their younger players. So that's only going to bode well for us as a nation, that we're able to obviously, you know, develop our own players and look at them and integrate them into the international setup. So as I say, if there's full-time football and young players are playing and part of that, then it's going to bode well for everyone going down the line. But absolutely, you know, we'll never ever not look at the Irish League or not look at the teams. As I say, I'm very familiar with them all, with obviously managing here, being based here and going to games. You know, I'm at a game, I'm actually doing the TV for a game tonight, Ballymena Cliftonville, and in that Ballymena team, there's 4 players that would have been in my under-19 selection, and there's maybe in total now there's about 5 or 6 that will be potentially getting called up to the 21s when they do meet up. So again, it's definitely a league it's a league that probably that some turn their nose up at, but trust me, as a player, it's a tough league, and if these young players are playing, they're getting educated. They're playing against men every week, so 100%. I'd love to see more young players breaking through and for us to allow to pick from.
Oh, brilliant, thank you. So next question is from Michael. What is your best advice for young managers coming through? Obviously, you're quite a young manager anyway, but you know, a younger manager coming through.
Yeah, I think well, for me, a young manager. Sometimes managers jump too quick, you know, and I personally, I had in my head that I always wanted to manage and coach, but I didn't want to, you know, jump into senior football right away at professional level. I wanted to learn, and with managing, it's not just about putting on good sessions. It's managing everything basically. It's managing, you know, it's managing up. It's managing your board level. It's managing supporters. It's managing, you know, people around the volunteers around the place. It's managing players, obviously, and it's hard. You obviously manage and have an effect on them. So I started off at amateur league, and the reason why I wanted to learn. I had no problem coaching, but I wanted to learn how to deal with players and how to deal with making mistakes with players, how to leave them out, how to talk to them, all that type of stuff. So I managed an amateur league team called Malacans for about a season or so. And then after that, I was ready to make a step up in the coaching level, and I'd done it under a great manager called Tommy Breslin, God rest him, who's dead now, and he was the perfect match for me. He managed the team and I coached the team. He just gave me full reins of the coaching style setup, and it gave me great experience and great confidence. So for me, you know, as a young manager, I think you've got to learn how to deal with setbacks. Obviously, you've got to be thick-skinned, and you have to make sure you're organised and planned, because if you're not, players find you out very quickly. You know, if you're going in there and you don't have a plan, or you know, you're trying to blag it or bluff it, you know, you're found out very quickly. So make sure you're well organised.
Yeah, it's great advice. Thanks, Gerard. So next question is touching on one of your other clubs that you've managed. Do you think you were given enough time at Sligo? That's from Irish Football Retweets.
Absolutely, 100% not. I seen that it was a big decision for me to leave Cliftonville at the time. I was building a team that potentially, in my opinion, would have been challenging for a league maybe in a year down the line. But I always made it quite clear that I always see myself as a full-time manager, or I wanted to be in a full-time environment, professional environment. Unfortunately, Cliftonville was only 2 nights a week and a game on a Saturday, albeit you pretty much were constantly full-time in terms of on the phones and organising and dealing with stuff. Yeah. But when I went to Sligo, it was a big decision. I went probably a little bit green and jumped the gun too quick and didn't do my homework in terms of where it was. I seen Sligo at the time when I joined them and this isn't to say it's not a big club, it's a massive club, but I seen it under the Barraclough, under Cookie when he was there, when they were such a big club. They had all the resources, they had everything at their disposal. And when I took a job, I was really excited. I was told that this is obviously short term. We want to stay in the league. You know, we're sort of around I think we're second bottom. We want to stay in the league. It's going to be a big task. Do that first, and I done that. I achieved that. Once you do that, obviously we want you to start developing our young homegrown players, and obviously, you know, stay in the league again. Budget wasn't great. It was a very low budget. It was probably second lowest budget in the league at the time. And basically play a nice sort of brand of football and build. And you know, we thought maybe it'll take about 4 years for this to really happen. And I ticked every box. I done everything that was asked for them. I was set targets at the start of the season. I achieved mostly every target that I was given by the board, and we were starting to build. I started getting ducking into the transfer market and pulling a couple of decent players that fitted into how we like to play. And we were potentially maybe for the third season I was there, going into the third season I should have been there, sorry. We were probably about 4 players off being a top 4 team. Yeah. And I was really confident in that. I was really looking forward to that next challenge. But obviously Sligo, being Sligo, you know, I think of them through 11 managers in 11 years or so, I counted, tells you something. And yeah. They seen it differently. They wanted something else, and obviously, you know, I wasn't the right man to take a club forward, which was really, really disappointing. I give up a lot of I sacrificed an awful lot to be down there and put everything into it, heart and soul into it. I was working under tight constraints in terms of budgets, but I was very dedicated to being a success. And the frustrating thing was that the Sligo supporters didn't really get to see the best of me in terms of what I could have produced. But listen, that's football. I have no gripes right now. It probably hurt me for a while when I did get sacked. They'll say I didn't get sacked, but I didn't re-sign where I wasn't offered a new contract. But that again, that's football. I've learned from it. And it's part and parcel of setbacks in the game, and you got to learn, you got to deal with it, and you got to move on and not let it have any effect on you. And as I say, at the start it did as a young manager. It was the first time I've sort of been told this isn't for you. But I'm happy where I went now. I've peeled the onion back, so to speak, and I went into the development side of things, recreated, relearning, all that type of stuff. Got my confidence back, and I've now in the space of 2 years, I've been able to land a really decent job in the IFA. No,
definitely. So next question is, who has been your biggest? You might have touched on this. Who has been your biggest influence on your coaching? That's from Nicky May.
There's been a few at the probably at the very early stages was William McStay. He was my manager at Celtic, youth manager, reserve manager at Celtic. I always liked his style. He was always he was a people person, and he always got the best out of players. How he conducted himself. You knew exactly what he wanted, and he wanted to play for him. I'm very grateful to now my very close friend, and who was my boss last year, Jim Magilton. When it happened to Sligo, I reached out to Jim, and Jim, obviously with his past experience of managing in England and so on, and he's been through the same things. Was the elite performance director at the IFA, and he says, "Look, come on down and watch a couple of sessions for me, see what you think. I'd love to see, get your outlook and things." From there, I ended up taking a couple of sessions. From there, I started gradually building, and the next minute I was under 16s in the academy head coach of our UFA academy, and we just became so close. Again, we shared the same beliefs, same styles. Football, we're both football fanatics. And some of the things he speaks about and spoke about was so easy, and it just it was like light bulb stuff. Why didn't I think about it? And he was so knowledgeable, and still is so knowledgeable now. He's went on the sporting director of Dundalk, so he's played a big part probably in the last 3 years of my coaching career. Obviously at Cliftonville, at Tommy Breslin, who gave me an opportunity to come in as first team coach, and we were lucky enough to win 2 back-to-back doubles in Northern Ireland under that. They're probably the main ones that I would say would have a massive influence in terms of coaching.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. The next one is from Kingsley Burrows. Is main aim for both obviously teams, so under 17s and the 19s, in the next 2 years, and do you have KPIs from the IFA?
Well, the biggest KPI is basically the focus isn't, we're not too caught up. Obviously, we all like to win, and we all like to get into the elite stages of tournaments and final stages of tournaments. But the main focus for us is the pathway basically for us young players to the 21s to the senior squad, and if we can develop and get them young players up to the levels of senior football, then our job's done. We've done our job. Basically, that's the trophy. On top of that, obviously, personally, and the players will tell you the same. They want to qualify. They want to beat the other nations, and that's the type of mentality I also want in my players. Because if they're going in with that sort of winning mentality, then on top of their ability, it's a nice mix. And when they do go to the senior level under Ian Barclough, then they have nearly a complete player. They have a winning mentality, and they have obviously a player that has lots of ability. So that would be the focus for us, is developing the young lads. We're still at that developmental stages at under 19 and under 17. So my focus will be supplying the pathway for the senior boys.
Brilliant, thanks. From Northern Ireland Football, will you be hosting camps in Great Britain to assess players' eligibility rules? I don't know if that's happened previously.
Yeah, it has, and that's something we're currently even talking about now at the minute. We're just on uncertain times. We just don't know where we are and what we can achieve. And obviously we were meant to be in a tournament at the end of March, qualifiers in Sweden, and that's been called off now because of the pandemic, which is highly frustrating. So we don't know what we can do. We don't know where we can be. We're currently looking at potentially a camp at the end of March for the players to get together again, just to keep them sort of with us and show them exactly what our plan is moving forward. And we're just waiting word. We're just waiting on word or the nod from so many restrictions. So again, but to answer that question, yes, we definitely will be looking at certain camps in England, going forward.
Yeah, sure. Next one is, will you pick, and you've probably answered this already, will you pick players who have represented older age groups? But I'm guessing development-wise, that probably won't help the others coming through.
Yeah, again, it's all about that sort of that pathway. I keep mentioning the pathway. It's a word that we use quite often. And if Andy's taking sort of players that's going to be younger, they go into the 21s, then I dip into the ones below as well to bring them up and try and develop them. So we're constantly looking. Again, as I say, the good thing about the younger players being here, they're still here. I can keep an eye on them. I know exactly where they are. We have a JD full-time academy every day. That was my last job. So I know what's coming through. I know what players are developing quicker than others, and I'll be able to keep an eye on all that as well. So, so definitely 100%, we're always looking to develop and always looking to dip into the younger players and bring them through quick.
Yeah, sure, brilliant. Which countries and associations do the IFA look to, for example, to develop full-time UEFA A licensed coaches? This is from Stuart. I'm guessing he's looking for a job.
I don't think they look anywhere. They just, we're always looking for top coaches. There's no doubt about it. The thing with most jobs in football, it's about where you are, the affordability, salaries, so on. But we hold a very good coach education system with the IFA. We always have a lot of English coaches and Scottish coaches and American coaches and coaches all over the world that come on our coaching badges every year. So that tells you an awful lot about the delivery of it. So as I say, we're always looking to better ourselves as an association, and it's good that say these coaches come and take part on our coach education and develop themselves. But in terms of jobs and stuff like that, I don't know if that's what he means. It's always difficult. Yeah. It's always difficult to say. If you have a good CV, just you put it in. If there's opportunities that come up within the association, then you apply for it and hope for the best.
Yeah, definitely. So this one from Ricky Alexander is, we have Galbraith, Bradley, Allen. Whichever players do you think have got a great future? I suppose you can't really necessarily name drop players, probably a bit unfair, but
yeah, again, he's named a few there, and he's obviously very aware of what's coming through, and I'm very excited with the crop of players that is currently coming through from our under 17s, under 19s, 21s, and the name a few there. They're top players, and there's many more. And as I say, we work very hard on not just our own developing our own players here. We had a really good system called Club NI, and we've sort of get the players when they're based here at an early age, and we put a games program on for them, and we have them every Sunday and coach them every Sunday, and that has been a massive success for the likes of them players that's just been mentioned. But we also have a team of scouts in England and Scotland and scattered about the place that are constantly looking for eligibility players as well, with mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, and we've now identified a lot, and these young players as well have come to the fore, and they're excellent for us. So it's really important that we focus on both at the minute. But what I'll say is that the future's good at the minute in terms of players coming through in the next lot of years. I really look forward to seeing them pushing into the 21s and the seniors.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously seeing Liam Hughes on the bench for Liverpool. Yeah. Is he an under 19 or an under 17 for you?
No, Liam's. I think Liam's at 21 now. He could be actually. Yeah, he could be older than 21 now. He could be just missing 21 this campaign, but I know he was previously under 21. So again, great to see, and it's unbelievable for our young players to witness, a player of Liam that's sitting on a bench for such a massive club like Liverpool, and I think now, say if you're good enough, managers have no fear in putting you in, and and that's the message. And it's the message is quite clear for our young lads. Is always be ready for that call up, because you're at a club, at full-time professional club now, and you could get a phone call in the morning. So if you're not ready and you miss an opportunity, then that could be the only opportunity you're ever going to get.
Yeah.
So it's important that message is just like Liam, is make sure you're ready for the opportunity that's going to be given to you.
No, definitely. So, Gerard, we've got the last question of this mammoth chat. So, what are your non-negotiables you hold with players and staff, and how do you measure them? So this is an A licensed coach called Kurt Hurd. I think he's a Scottish gentleman. So that was his question to you.
Yeah, I think the non-negotiables. Well, the big one is pure attitude. You know, for me, attitude's everything. And if you don't have an attitude to be a footballer, then you shouldn't be here. You know, if you're coming basically in terms of camps or meetups, you know, the attitude is to come here and make sure that you're representing your football club, you're representing your family, representing yourself more importantly, and to make sure that you apply yourself in every way, shape or form that's going to make you a better footballer. Yeah. So attitude for me is absolutely, you know, a poor attitude is non-negotiable. For a footballer, it shouldn't be. It should be one of the main things. So that would be the big thing for me is having that right attitude. Yeah, to be a professional footballer. And that's, as I said, that's everything. That's how you conduct yourself professionally. So that can come into it too, being professional. How you eat, how you sleep, how you prepare, how you speak to people around the hotel or around the facilities. My team in the past, my players in the past, I want to make sure that they've manners, good manners. And in the past, I know when we worked with the under-16s, the hotels, the receptions, the staff, they always pass comment on how polite and how well-mannered our boys were. And for me, that's very important. And it takes very little to have good manners. So for me, non-negotiables is attitude, professionalism. You know, whether you put that in one, it all comes into joining up together.
No, brilliant. No, that's great. So, Gerard, you know, this has been a real insight, and I hope the people who've asked the questions have really enjoyed your answers as well. So, appreciate you coming on. All the best for the coming campaigns once they get going, and obviously you're training and developing the players for the national team. And this episode will come live on our Sports Coffee YouTube channel on Friday the 12th. We normally put it on from 10 o'clock, so that'll be put onto our Facebook pages and our Twitter, so people can see that. So again, great to have you on, Gerard. All the best for the future, and hopefully we'll speak again sometime.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.